Welcome to episode 13 of Branching Out with Sierra. Today is Empathy and Assets, Leadership Strategies for Difficult Conversations with Will Lawrence. And today we are going to be exploring the intersection of leadership, empathy, and financial well-being, because we do have a financial advisor in the house today. So I want to take a moment to introduce Will Lawrence to you guys. I don't have a formal bio. I'm going to let him kind of explain what brought him here today, because there are a lot of layers to this onion. He has a degree in network engineering. He has 19 years in finance. He's currently a financial advisor. He holds his Series 7, if you know what that is. He has 66, 67, 8, 9 licenses, 10 years in the gaming industry, 9 years as a radio show host himself, and 10 years as a brewery owner. So there's a lot going on with Will Lawrence. So I would love for you to share a little bit about that. Thank you for being here today, Will. I'm so excited that you're finally here to join us, because you were supposed to be episode 3, and I had to wait so long to get on your calendar.
Schedules, man. Happy to be here. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course. So I want people to get to know you on a deep level very quickly.
Okay.
And I think the best way to do that is for you to share with the listeners the 3 things that you don't like.
Oh, you're going right there.
I'm going right there. There are 3 things you need to know about Will up front. What are they?
And this about sums it up. Right? So in no particular order. Now, again, I have to preface everybody. Hate's a strong word.
Yeah.
Right? We can agree on that. Mm-hmm. And so you only hear the rules, right? You can play this at home if you're listening. You get 3 things. It's your list, and you can put whatever. It's your list. Here's my list. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
You already know my list.
I do.
But in no particular order, Nickelback. Okay.
Kills me every time.
They're on there. Creed, also a band, and Coconut, the food, not a band.
Nickelback, Creed, and Coconut.
Other than that, I'm a pretty easy guy to get along with.
You know, when you first shared that with me, I remember sitting down for a one-to-one sometime, and you shared those 3 things. And it was kind of cool, though, because I always walk around and say there are 2 things in life I don't like. So it was cool to meet someone who had only 3, because most people don't like a lot of things. So we're just happy people.
Yeah. And you can change them out, but it's interesting, because most people, as soon as they hear that, what do? They start thinking about their things.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder, what can I say that I actually hate?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So do you remember my 2? I'm putting you on the spot.
I don't know.
They're both food related.
Okay.
Olives.
Okay.
And tofu.
Tofu.
Because why would you do that?
I remember the tofu.
Why? Why would you ever do that? So yeah, those are my 2. And I will say I did have olives recently. I was proud of myself, actually. I put myself through that because I think maybe I could come to like them one day.
How'd it go?
It ruined the entire pizza. It ruins the whole pizza. But I think that if I send you some Nickelback and you listen to it at different stages of life, maybe you will one day love them like I do.
There's no path to success there. There's no way.
Okay, so they need to know those 3 things about you. What else should they know about you? Because we've got gaming going on. We've got financial advisor, part owner of a brewery, radio show host. Yeah. Can you tell us what led to this conglomerate of talents?
Yeah, so, just kind of going through life. I think it was interesting. So, I got the degree in network engineering and thought that's the route I wanted to go. And then I ended up in finance, as one does. And so it's just, a totally different direction, and then learned that I really started liking finance. And I think this is going to be a topic that we probably talk about today. But what I found was early on, I was doing debt consolidation, things like this, helping people purchase homes and things of this nature. And I'll never forget it. It was my first closing. And I was in Martinsburg, West Virginia. And so that's where the closing was anyway. Mm-hmm. And so the attorney was kind of slinging papers across the table, and we're doing all this stuff. And the husband and wife were buying a house. It was their first home.
Okay.
And we got to the end, and the attorney slid the keys across the table to the couple, and he said, "Congratulations on your new home." And they looked at each other. They turned and looked at me, and they said, "Thank you." And I was just like, wow. It was such that is when I knew I loved helping other people.
Is there like a tear in your eye right now?
It was such a thing. And so then they got up and they walked out the door and said, "See you later." And that was
this touching moment.
Yeah,
And then
never saw them again. They never
have a
talked
nice
to
life.
And that was the end of it. But that I did that for them. And that was like, wow. And it's such a cool moment. So yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, so that kind of leads you to you like helping people, which people in general in this community just know that about you. When we see you out and about, you're always helping in
affable.
some capacity. What led to the brewery? Let's go with that one next.
So we had some friends, Kat and Eric Latham, used to be Kat Bronson, Eric Latham. They were lived on Peyton Street here in Winchester. And they ended up just moving down there. And we'd always talked about doing like a brewery type of a thing. So are you interested in kind of doing this with us? And it was like, yeah. And then I remember telling Eric, I was like, from a business point of view, just so you know, I'm not investing into a brewery. I'm investing into you.
That's awesome.
And it's very much a napkin type business plan, but it was a great napkin. And we had a great plan. And literally we mapped out phases kind of 1, 2, and 3 in that initial meeting. So it's not like we were just, hey, let's get some beers together and start a business type of a thing. We had a game plan and very humble beginnings too. We had, I think, 10 of us. There wasn't much money involved. We had like a 1-barrel system. For those of you who don't know brewing, you can't brew a whole lot with a 1-barrel system. And if you want to brew multiple beers, it's a process. Now you got to clean it, sanitize it, go through the whole thing just to switch out the recipe.
Okay.
Do something else. So it takes a long time just to get different types of products out on the floor. We had our tap room and our brewing facility all in the same building, in the King building down in Johnson City, Tennessee. That's where they ended up moving.
I can't help but sing the song in my head every time.
You hear the wagon wheel song,
yeah.
And so, we were the first brewery there. Actually, ironically enough, this is our 10-year anniversary.
Congratulations.
So in October is 10 years. So if you're in the area, come see JCBC this year in October for our 10-year anniversary. So there you go.
That's awesome. Are you guys doing something special for the 10-year?
Oh, yeah.
Well, let's hear it. What is it?
Are
we not allowed to reveal?
No, I'm going down early just to kind of talk about the plans, what we're going to do and everything. I probably won't actually be there for the celebration.
Okay.
But looking forward to what that is. And so, so we got down there, and we were the first brewery there in Johnson City. There are now 6.
Oh.
And it was very much like a David Goliath thing.
Yeah. Like
Yeehaw comes in, multi-million-dollar operation out of the gate, and it was like, here we are, and their national distribution and the whole thing. So anyway, but we had the name. We had the community support.
Yeah.
We had the vibe. And people would support the local guys. And so, and again, I'll give all the credit to Kat and Eric. They are the ones carrying the ball down the field and establishing those relationships.
That's awesome. Yes.
And so, so we were, people say, well, Will, what do you do? I said, well, I'm quality control.
Yes, that's the best job, right? Peaches, by the way, Peaches is my favorite.
That is
not only the taste of peaches, but that one ad.
Oh, yeah.
I cannot get over it. It is the funniest. Can you explain what it is?
Oh, yeah. Jack Black doing the Peaches song from the Mario movie. Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, I mean, that's our flagship beer.
It's amazing.
I
love it. And I'm not a big beer drinker.
That's the one I give to people that say that.
Yeah.
Because it's very unassuming. It's not over the top, simple.
Yeah.
But it's just it's fun to see the growth of that industry and the growth of our brewery. but at the end of the day, we had the right people, and that took it seriously and really made sound business decisions along the way. And so when we did have money, we didn't try to grow too fast.
Yeah.
We stuck to that original plan that we put together back then. And so I love the camaraderie in that industry. You never feel like you're in competition. That's the other thing that really stood out to me. Each brewery was willing to help each other with supplies, with even revenue. It's just amazing to me. Name another. Walmart's not calling up Target saying, "Hey, we're out of the SKU. You send us some."
Yeah.
So it's just it's a fun thing to be a part of.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited to hear what you guys do for the 10-year. I will have to visit it in person sometime.
Come on down. We've got a Boones Creek location and our tap room on Main Street, Johnson City. And we're looking to expand. We're taking peaches across the state. So that's the next thing we're doing for distribution-wise.
Okay.
So it's very exciting times.
Yeah. It is. Yeah. It is. Okay, so I want to talk about all of the other areas, but I have to ask you the first official question that I ask every single guest. But you would know this because I saw on your application, truth came out, that he has not listened to a single episode yet.
Oh, man.
Yet. But he said to me yet in the sentence. So that leads me to believe that by next week he will report back on one of them.
I will listen. I know I'm going to listen to the Jay Foreman and Seth Thatcher episodes. I'm excited to listen to both of those.
Yes, yeah. I know. I've got to pick on you. The first question that I always ask folks is when they first identified themselves as a leader. What was that moment for you? When do you first consider yourself a leader? And maybe how your definition of leadership has changed over time?
Sure. Well, I would say for me, so let's see here. I got the degree. I'm replaying my life here. So I got the degree, got a job in finance, was there for a while. Then I switched gears to become a business owner altogether. And that's when I got into the gaming industry.
Okay.
And so, oh boy, so many stories here. But so I went into business. And during that time, there was I didn't have a corporate or a, rule book here to follow. It was just, you're out there, as a lot of business owners are, just kind of figuring it out for yourself.
Yeah.
What do I need to do to take this to the next level? I was confident in my abilities, but obviously I couldn't do it by myself. And so I got a lot of good people around me, and I think naturally you become a leader in that sense. And I think that's when I started trying to figure out, well, how do I get the help that I need, hire people that I, can work with and this type of thing, and then help them develop. And that became more, I had a lot of mature people, but I also had younger kids because they knew the material, meaning the gaming industry. And again, we were a retail store at the time. And so it was a matter of trying to work with them and help them develop work skills.
Yeah.
And not just think of this as not a job, right? There was still work to be done. So I really had to figure out how to speak on their level, on their terms, and get them to, take the job seriously. And I wasn't successful every time, but I was very proud when people came back years later and said, I really appreciate everything you did for me. And so that was, that's
awesome.
That's a cool, for me, that was when I started really trying, maybe I got some leadership skills here.
Okay.
That was, that's good. Yeah.
First recollection of it. So the interesting thing is oftentimes folks will say it's when they held a specific role or had a specific title, they felt like a leader for the first time because they had that title and they know their job was to lead others at that point. But I always say that leadership is about influencing people, and we have the ability to influence people every single day in every single interaction. And I know you know that because you always take advantage of opportunities to have a positive influence on people. So I am going to argue that you were leading people long before that moment.
I by that definition, yes. And that goes back into finance, I think. And even I did work at the gym a while back. I think it was one of my first jobs.
Yeah.
And Gold's Gym, Winchester. A lot of great people. Still have some of those relationships. But yeah, it's, people would ask you, what do you think? And you give them something, they run with it. And they want advice. And I guess you're right. That probably happened a lot well before.
Say that again. You guess what?
I think you're right.
You don't say that very often, Will. Awesome. Well, I want to talk about the first time we met.
Okay.
When was that?
Let's see here. When was that? The CLP.
Yeah, I wanted to go there. Can you share your experience with the Community Leadership Program? And for those of you that don't know what that program is, it is through our local chamber, so Top of Virginia Regional Chamber. We have the Community Leadership Program every year. I don't even remember what year they said they're on now, maybe like 27. I hope I didn't just make up that number, but it's many. That is how we first met.
Yeah.
Can you just take us back to that moment? And from your perspective, what went on that day and kind of how we first connected?
Yeah, so it was, in the beginning of that, first of all, the CLP program's great. Mm-hmm. I think the Chamber has a great thing there. Even if you're just curious about what's happening in your area, they've got so many different things to get you subjected some way. So you have an idea of what's happening, and that was very eye-opening. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that stood out to me, just a quick note, was the whole dichotomy with the farmers and the land and the city, and trying to juggle farming in the area and building new houses and this whole thing. I was like, I didn't know just how big of a struggle that was, or what those farmers were up against. And so it was interesting just to kind of learn about that. So the school bus system, that whole thing. I mean, there's just lots of things that you might not be on your radar that you assume, but going through the CLP opens your eyes a lot to what's actually happening. Yeah. And then you can maybe I do want to get involved or something like that. So there's that. But the beginning, this was to help develop community leaders, right? Mm-hmm. Community Leadership Program. So we went through is it the DISC?
Yeah, we did the DISC in the very first session. Yeah.
So that was kind of fun. I had fun doing that.
Good.
And then you get this little book that tells you, Will is this and Will is that.
Mm-hmm. Was it accurate?
It was pretty close, actually. It wasn't that. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah. Usually is.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with 99.9%.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So, it was fun to sort of look at that. Mm-hmm. I think it's always interesting when you're reading about yourself, kind of a thing. But so fast forward, we go through a couple of those, and then I had no idea. Well, I was just kind of going. It was month to month, so you meet once a month. So it's not too, breaking into your regular schedule and your work life and stuff. It was like once a Friday.
One Friday a month. Yeah.
So one of these, I had no idea what was going on, and we went into a what was it? It's called SimSoc. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to ruin it for anybody, but I had no idea what it was.
Which SimSoc stands for Simulated Society.
Okay.
Yep. So people know.
And so, of course, we had met prior to that, but that's when, so
we became besties at that point.
Yeah, dude. That whole thing was, I'll say, a very eye-opening experience for me. And I'm not going to throw anybody in the bus, but it was interesting to see how people responded in those situations. Mm-hmm. And I think it was kind of telling. It'll show you who you are in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I was drawn to you. Yeah. And I've told you a million times at this point when I found out who you really were. So I want to find the best way to explain this without ruining the experience for others. So simulated society, it means just that. We are simulating a society, and we have some people who have more resources than others. And everybody's kind of assigned a team, and let's just say, Will, your team had a different mindset than you did, and what Will was all about helping everyone else, and the team that you found yourself with was focused on doing what they could for themselves. Is that an accurate statement?
It kind of seemed that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I watched how they treated you based on the fact that you were trying to help others, and you did it anyway.
Yeah.
And that's what stood out was, you said earlier about that moment that the folks took the keys and said thank you, and that was so touching for you, right?
Yeah.
And you realized how much you love helping people. Even in a simulated society that came through.
Yeah.
And you went out of your way to make sure everybody had what they needed. Everybody was eating that day.
Yeah.
Everybody was going to have access to what you had access to.
And then a pandemic broke out.
Literally.
They wouldn't let me back in.
His team didn't welcome him back.
Yeah.
That was a sad moment for me. I had your back, but I had to remain neutral, which was so hard for me, facilitating it and remaining neutral. But anyway, that really that brings me to why I chose the theme that I did for us today, because I have to admit, I called up Jay Foreman.
Oh, good.
I called him yesterday and I said, man, I'm really struggling with picking an area to focus on with this Will guy.
Yeah.
Because there's so much to him. I said, what makes him unique to you? And I wanted to see what he said and how it kind of compared to my thoughts. And it was in alignment, and it is that you are always looking for ways to support people and build relationships. And especially as a financial advisor, that the relationship is really what you're building and building the trust before anybody's ever going to trust you with money.
Yeah.
Right? Doesn't that have to come first?
It does. Yeah. 1,000%.
And so I decided that's why I went with empathy and assets, because I wanted to talk about your level of empathy, which is necessary as a leader. And, as we talk about the mission of this podcast and helping people to see how leadership principles apply to everyday life, right? And whether you're leading a massive team or you're leading yourself through life and you may just be influencing a few people in your own home, it doesn't matter, right? Empathy is an important piece of this, and I knew that you would be able to speak about that.
Yeah, so many things there. There's so many variables that it's a juggling act, just even within yourself, right? Mm-hmm. To figure out how to go about doing each one of those things. I think they're different in some ways. However, in my belief, you can combine it all, right? And so, as far as financial advising goes, I these days I tell people we're no difference. We're all the same. What do you mean? Well, we all want, to your point, we all want someone that we know and trust, who's got our back. Period. Yeah. Right. That's it. If you've have enough experience, and obviously, yes, the more experience is a good thing, but at the end of the day, we've got resources that I can, if I don't have the answer, I can get the answer, but I'm going to get the answer, right? So I'm going to make sure it's right for the person. Yeah. So I'll segue that into, you mentioned leadership and all those things. I put a little bio out there, and one of the first sentences in there, it says, if Will's not helping somebody, then he's probably not happy. And I put, it's not just, I don't even remember what I said now, but it was something along these lines. It's not just words. It's a chosen lifestyle. What do you mean? Well, I don't have to act like I'm anything, right? I can just be myself. If you're truly coming from a spot from wanting to help people, then you don't have to fake anything. Right. If you don't have to fake anything, you're not trying to pretend to be something else or trying to act like you're someone you're not. It's a lot less stress. Yeah. You just be yourself. And if you have that, if you're truly coming at things from, I am going to help these people, not just say it. That's the difference. A lot of people say it. It almost becomes cliche to a point. Oh, I love helping people. And there's no soul behind that for a lot of people.
Agreed.
And so, but if you live and breathe it and you've adopted it as a chosen way of life, all of a sudden things become a lot easier. It's one less thing I don't need to think about. You are who you are. Right.
Yeah. I hear no one can out nice you.
You have talked to Jay.
He shared that with me. So tell me about that.
No, it was just, I guess I have that reputation, and he's like, well, I'll buy you this round or something like that. I was like, okay. So I don't say anything. I'll wait till the next week and I'll pick it up. And this time I pick up his food as well. And it's just like, oh, you didn't have to do that. No, it's no problem. So next week he tries again. I'm like, you're not going to win this.
No one will out nice me.
I don't continue to one up you until I'm buying him his next house or something. Yeah.
That authenticity really does shine through. And you can tell when people are faking it and saying, well, most business owners, when you ask people, why did you go into business? Well, I like helping people, right? Well, a lot of people also go into business to make money, right?
Yeah.
And so what is it really about? And so if I think about my background in education, obviously I didn't go into education to make money. Yeah, I went in it because I wanted to help people, right? I wanted to help them grow. And I think of my business in the same way, is it's an opportunity to help people grow. This podcast.
Yeah.
I really, honestly, as long as it impacted one person's life, that was all that I cared about. All of it was worth it. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter beyond that. It's worth every moment. So for me, it's about helping people to grow and see their value. But let's talk about.
Well, I have one other story.
Yeah.
Just yesterday,
okay.
I was like, you know what? I'm going to go get ice cream.
Okay.
And so there's like
sounds like a great idea.
And so I took the kids, and then the neighbor lady across the street was she was just walking down the sidewalk. I was like, out for a stroll, and she's like, was upset. I was like, so whatever. And so her little boy are friends with mine across the street. And I was like, see if I could take him for ice cream too, just whatever. And apparently that was a big deal. Aww. And all I did was ask the little boy to go get ice cream. But it just the impact it had or whatever. So it's just a simple thing. It's such a simple thing.
It is.
But you don't realize to the other person what it is. I mean, people, sometimes they don't know where to turn, right, to get motivation, like for something like this. Maybe, like you said, if somebody listens to something that we're talking about and they're like, and they latch onto it, and then they take it with them throughout their day, it's like, I can make a difference here. That's a big time thing, man. I that kind of stuff, that's what motivates me. I've got another story.
Bring them on. I want to hear them, Will.
So
that's why you're here.
This one's good. So I got this from Dr. Kevin Elko.
Okay.
He had come and spoken a couple of times, and I was listening to him, and he told us, I'm going to butcher it, but I'll tell the story.
Okay.
So the family, this guy and his son was going to the circus years ago. And there was a family in front of them trying to go in line, and there was a husband, a wife, 2 kids. And the guy got up to the front, and the guy said, here's the cost. And the family in front of them, all of a sudden the dad starts, oh gosh, I don't have the funds. And he looks down at his kids, and his kids, they were disappointed in the whole thing. And then realized he wasn't going to be able to go that day. So the guy that's telling the story about his dad, they're standing behind them. They're next in line. And he said his dad just, threw a $20 bill on the ground and picked it up and said, "Excuse me, sir, I think you dropped this." And, he looked at the guy and just, you could tell he was very appreciative. So he literally got that family into the circus. And then the dad turns to the son. He says, "Come on, son, we're leaving." He's like, "Why?" He's like, "We don't have the money to go to the circus today." And so, it's just, it's a way of life, right? Yes. It's a way of thinking. It's just, how much better would the world be if everyone adopted this type of way of thinking? And then that's why I don't get involved in politics and that kind of stuff. It's just, it's tough these days, right?
Yes.
I mean, people would agree with that statement, right?
Yeah. Actually, someone at a chamber event this week said to me, "So when are you getting into politics?" And I just whipped my head around, and I was like, you don't want that.
Yeah.
And he was like, why? I think you'd be great. I was like, I hate politics. Do you want to know why? It is because people try to win by putting other people down.
Yeah.
The moment someone tries to win the campaign by destroying the other person, I am done with that.
Like,
I am done with it.
Can't we just talk about what's actually going on here?
Can you tell I'm a little passionate about that? I will never be able to do that.
And, it's not for everybody, obviously, but if someone did have that approach and some thick skin, right, then, gosh, maybe they really could make a difference.
Yes.
So maybe those are the type of people you want.
Yeah, that's true. That's what he said. He said, well, maybe that's your whole campaign is you're going to win by talking about what you're going to do rather than focusing on anybody else and what they're going to do.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, still not interested. Sorry, not convinced. I want to go back to the example you gave of the $20 bill.
Oh, sure.
Okay. So, by the way, it made me tear up a little bit. It's a little emotional. Because finances can be emotional.
Sure.
And I think it's very important to talk about the fact that when you find someone to help support you in improving your financial situation, whether it is your current financial situation or getting you set up for the future, it has to be a judgment-free zone. Because a lot of people carry, whether it's embarrassment or whatever it may be, past mistakes, where they are today with their finances. And I have shared, in a previous episode that you haven't listened to, episode 3 to be exact, that finances have been a huge struggle for me. And I had to go through 2 different companies. I was trying to do debt consolidation after my Lyme disease, and I put so many medical bills on credit cards.
Sure.
Finding my way out of that mess has been horrible. But anyway, it was very emotional for me to finally go to someone and say, I don't think I can ever pay all of these credit cards off with the current interest rates. I need help. And there are companies out there that take advantage of that situation. And I found myself with one of those to where I had spent $25,000 towards debt through them, through a global holdings account, and found out that only $5,000 of it went to actual debt. They took the rest in fees, right? So I've had some really bad experiences with it. And when I think financial advisor, I think of someone who already has wealth, who already has money, and they want to invest in things to grow their wealth. And I always think, well, I'm not ready to work with a financial advisor because I'm not working with much.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So walk me through that.
Yeah.
Do people come in a situation where they kind of throw their hands up in the air and just say, help me, I don't know what to do?
I've heard that before. It's a great question. And people often, think that they put you in that box. Oh, I have to have money in order to work with you. It's not the case. I do love the kind of family physician of finance example.
Okay. Tell me more.
Meaning like if you have an ailment or a sickness, then go to your doctor and look into it. Or you could Google it, which a lot of people do anyway. But but
not
still,
a good idea.
Go get some professional advice and go from there. And then advisors are different. Some of them will take you on. Some of them are closer to retirement, and maybe they're only looking for a certain type of client.
Okay.
And that's how they're building their practice.
Okay.
It would be no different if it was an attorney or a doctor, right? They have special areas of expertise. But generally, if you're a general practitioner, then you can generally see anybody. But sometimes even those general practitioners are building their practice one way, so they might send you somewhere else. It doesn't change the fact that you still need help, right? So some advisors, I always tell people, I don't care if you've got $10 or $10 million. I'm still going to sit down and talk with you and help you and make sure that you get what you need. And I think that is maybe there's a fear people have, that there's, like you said, I'm embarrassed about what I've done. there's no hope for me. I don't have anything to even talk about or whatever. And again, if you're talking to someone like me that actually is looking at you saying, I actually care what you do. What is the best next step for you based off of, well, here's where you are today.
Yeah.
Period. Right? It doesn't. So what does that say? It doesn't matter what you've done. Here you
You're
are.
looking forward, not back.
Here you are. Now what? So let's talk about now what. What can you do? And then maybe you find motivation in that. Okay, I can do this. I could do that, and try to figure out a way to do it. And then what do you got to do? You got to follow up. You actually got to do it. And so I think the biggest mistake I see people make with their finances is neglect.
They think do you mean if they ignore it, it'll go away?
Yeah.
Okay.
I love medical analogies. Let's say I've got this huge growth on my shoulder. It's growing up like huge. And I just go, let's Google that, take a picture of it, put it on the internet, check it out. I could do all of those things, or, I could call my doctor and say, hey, do you think I should do something about this or whatever? It's the same thing.
Yeah.
If I forget about it and it manifests into this bigger problem, eventually it's going to be a bigger problem to where, I've officially shot myself here in the foot.
Yeah.
Same thing with your finances. Just completely ignoring it, saying, oh, I'll get to that. Yep. Oh, well, I thought about that. I was going to do that eventually. Time goes by. It goes by, and it keeps going by. It seems like it's speeding up, actually. But
yeah, I would agree with that statement.
So it's like, I've got a limited time, but when you're talking about financial advice, most of the time it comes down to your time horizon, how much risk you're willing to take, and then what is the purpose or the goal. And you start defining that. I've got short-term goals and long-term goals. How do we develop a plan tailored to you, right? And that's the idea. So
thank you for explaining that. I think the important part that I'm hearing is like we all have the history, whatever that looks like, whether we've made amazing choices, whether we found ourselves caught in a really crappy situation, right? By no fault of our own sometimes, that we can kind of set that aside. It doesn't define who we are, right? We can go to someone that we trust and have a conversation about it. And I love that you are that safe space for people. Because my guess is, and I kind of mentioned this earlier, that people won't just come in and meet you for the first time and lay it all out on the table. It might take some time to get to a point where they will share with you.
You got to sort of train people that here's what this looks like. Here's the process.
Yeah.
And people go through life. I mean, everybody's different. And everybody's got a different family dynamic and everything. And guess what happens to your goals? Do you think goals change over the time? Yeah. Eventually, when you're 90 years old, your goal might look a little different than it did now. It just, maybe estate and legacy is something all of a sudden you're interested in. Whereas retirement was the goal originally. And so it just depends. But depending on what your resources are, is there a better way to achieve that goal? Who do I turn to that's actually going to help me talk about that's going to actually look out for me? That's a big one. Yeah. So that's what you want. Like I said, that's why I always start off with, we're no different. Because I'm summarizing everything we're talking about here by saying we want someone that we know and trust has got our back. Yeah. Period. And that's it.
That's what everybody wants.
And so,
thinking about how you said goals change, so I have my wheel of life that I use for people to kind of assess.
The wheel of life.
Yes, it's amazing.
Nice.
You should do it sometime.
Okay.
Where people assess their level of satisfaction in different areas of life. Okay, so their identity, their service to the community, their health, all the different areas of health. Financial well-being is one of them, and I break it into two parts. I say, how happy are you with your current ability to live the lifestyle you want to lead, currently, right? And then what education and preparation have you done around the future? So it's
Right.
kind of current and future state.
Yeah.
How do people find a balance between achieving the now goals and the future goals simultaneously? What does that look like? How is that possible? Because I'll tell you why I'm saying this. I have been at a point so many times in my own life where I've said, I can't even think about the future because I'm just trying to get to where I need to be now, right? I can't even look there. But if I don't look there sooner rather than later, there's going to be nothing there. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what does that even look like when someone comes in and they're struggling in the now?
We are talking about the secrets of life here, aren't we? I mean, this is,
We are.
So, it's and I'm a part-time counselor over here a lot of the time, so I spend more
I'm
time
sure.
talking about life than I do finance. But, in a lot of ways, it's a continuous juggling act for us all. And there's two things that stand out to me with what you were asking.
Okay.
Health, your actual health, and then your wealth or your finance. So that really jumps out because I think it's all part of you and your life. And again, going back to your goals, and sometimes some people don't know what they want, and sometimes they do, but they're not sure how to go about it, and so forth and so on. Sometimes they're caught up with their health so much that they forget about their other goals that they wanted to do in life, or the things that they. And that's why I say eventually it's just like, if we're going to plan financially, what are we planning for? What is it that you want? And so you kind of have to have that conversation with yourself at some point. And you go back to motivation and what's going to motivate you enough to take action on whatever it is. Let's pretend we don't have to pretend. I want to lose some weight, right? So what do I need to do that? If I did nothing, do you think I'm going to lose weight? No. I have to be motivated enough to change my schedule, to figure out, to make some phone calls maybe, to buy this, to go do that, to get out, start walking. I'm no Jay Foreman over here.
That man walks a lot.
But
It's working.
But and maybe it's a health scare or something like that. Maybe that was the motivation you needed that pushed you over the edge. Hey, sir, ma'am, if you don't do this, you're going to be facing this and that and the other.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't. No. I don't want that. I can't afford. I don't want. Blah blah. So what's going to motivate you to either change your health, change the road that you're on, from the health perspective? You draw a line to your finance. What are you going to do? Are you going to continue to pay your bills and do everything that you're doing? How is that working for you?
Yeah.
Actually, it's going great. Terrific. Sometimes I just give people, keep up the good work. Sometimes it's not. And you have to change the direction.
What is the change you will make?
What's going to motivate you to do it? Is it that lifestyle that you were talking about, or looking into the future, like you were saying, that I can't even get there? Why? Why aren't you looking at that? So what is going to motivate you to look at that?
Yeah. Well, I think it does take a period of sacrifice too. Like, I know this is a ridiculous first world example, so don't make fun of me, Will Lawrence.
Okay.
But I stopped drinking Dunkin' for a quarter, like for 3 months, and thought about the money that I was spending each day on my coffee. If I would take that and apply it to debt instead, right? That change was significant. Okay. So, but it can be the smallest thing. The smallest lifestyle change can make a really big impact very quickly. And so how willing are you to make just the slightest change to change your trajectory?
Oh my gosh, it's huge. I was going to say that's ridiculous, but I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I know, it's ridiculous.
That's huge. That is a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
That's showing that you want to make a commitment to change or make some sort of a difference.
Yeah.
Probably better for you as well.
Well, anyway. I was going to say, obviously we're in a different quarter now, so the Dunkin' is sitting here.
Hey, but
hey,
sometimes you need caffeine. Hey.
I still save that money for a quarter, okay? But I actually talked with a client the other day about that. What we decided, they like making like little purchases here and there, things, shopping online. It's an addiction. What we decided is every time they put something in their cart and they really wanted it, instead of hitting purchase, they would take the exact value and instead make a deposit into their savings account at that value instead. And you know how quickly that adds up.
That's a lot of no pun intended willpower.
Willpower. I like it.
But yeah, I mean, if you're able to do that kind of thing, you're farther ahead than most.
Yeah.
If you have that kind of discipline.
Yes.
Oh gosh, what a great word. It really when it comes to finance, I mean, that's huge, especially for younger folks.
Yeah.
Gosh, the time value of money. I do that presentation for my younger clients, and it's very eye opening. Why? Because they start doing this. Wait a minute. I need to do what to get how much in retirement, and I can get $1 million. Can you run that? Say, and they start doing this. Mm-hmm. They start thinking about their future. They start getting invested into what they need to do in order to create what they want.
Yes.
Right? So that's a big thing. It's the same type of thinking with that. So why build up the savings account? Why not buy that? Mm-hmm. Right? There's nothing wrong with rewarding yourself.
Oh, I'm all about rewards.
Good. Well, there you go.
I just like rewards that don't cost anything.
But do it in a way that's complementary to your other things.
Yeah.
You can try to form something that's going to get you across the line there, but people fall into traps. Here's one that you might be familiar with: credit cards. Mm-hmm. The old credit card, right? So, it's there. I've got it in there. Yeah, I can buy that. The next thing you know, what happens? And where do people really get into trouble with credit cards? The interest. Mm-hmm. So now they're paying all this money and they're not paying down their bills or their debt, and they're giving it to the credit card company. Now there's strategies that are in place to help folks with that. What do you got to do? You got to reach out, sit down with somebody, right? Or what happens if you neglect it? Your debt goes nowhere. Mm-hmm. You spent all of this money on interest. You didn't know there was a better way to attack this problem. Mm-hmm. You didn't know it was a problem sometimes. I didn't even think about it. I put zero thought into it. I got another story.
Okay.
So I had a client had done very well for themselves and had a couple $1 million and got to retirement. And I started talking to him about what he wanted to do and this type of thing. And he said, "Will, I'm good." I said, "You're good." He said, "I'm good." And he left. I said, "Well, I guess he's good."
Okay.
And that was it. 6 months goes by. And he comes back in, sets the appointment. And I said, "What's going on?" He said, "I don't know what to do with myself." I said, "It only took you 6 months to drive yourself nuts." He said, "Exactly." He said, "Will, I spent my whole life working and to get to retirement. I put zero thought into what I was going to do once I got there." A lot of people don't realize you got to occupy this thing. If you can't, if you're only listening, I'm pointing to my brain, which but you got to occupy your mind sometimes too. That with things you like. So we spent the entire time talking about civic organizations, hobbies. Didn't really have a whole lot of something he could do, because finance was no longer the obstacle. Mm-hmm. Do you see?
Yeah.
And so everybody's in a different spot, but again, what's going to motivate you to act on your mental well-being, to act on your physical well-being, to act on your financial well-being? So you kind of have to prioritize some of those things. Sometimes they're all priority. So now what? You feel overwhelmed.
Yeah.
You feel overwhelmed. Mm-hmm. And now what are you going to do? Who are you going to turn to? So forth and so on, right? I'm sounding like a broken record over here.
No, it's exactly what I say. So thank you for reinforcing that, because this wheel of life I'm talking about, we're trying to achieve quote unquote balance, which we'll talk about here in a minute, but balance looks so different for everyone. But the idea is not to focus on all of them at the same time. So each quarter for me and for my clients, we try to focus in on the 3 areas where we could have greatest impact on all of the areas of our life, right? So for example, usually health and wealth, those 2 right there, right? The financial well-being piece, I know for my mental and emotional health, it's huge.
Yeah.
And I know that's the case for many people. Or if I focus on my health, if I feel better about myself, or I just, physically feel better everything else seems better.
Yeah.
Right? So those two areas I feel like have the greatest impact on the rest of the wheel for me. So I put a lot of attention into those. It
makes it easier to do the other ones.
Yes, exactly. But not look at the whole wheel and say, okay, I have a flat here. This is not looking good. So I'm going to try to fix everything all at once. And I'm going to get frustrated because I'm not seeing enough change fast enough, right? And so I stop and I'm going to wait till next year. I'll try again next year and reset, right? Yeah. And it just over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So
that can happen, but you're so close. You're like right on the cusp because of the smaller habits you're talking about. I mean, just continue those things, and you're still chipping away.
Yeah,
you're still making progress, but it's better than no progress.
Well, that's the point of having a plan, though. So every day I tell myself I am literally one day closer to zero debt. That's what I tell myself every single day.
There you go.
Because I sat down and created a plan for myself to get out of the situation. I know the exact date in which everything will be paid off if I continue at the pace that I am. And that will be the best feeling in the world. And I've learned many things through the process. Some of them very hard lessons, but I've learned many things. But what I want people to hear is going back to the empathy piece and the judgment-free zone.
Mm-hmm.
Like you are really a safe place for anybody. And people know that about you. So I'm sorry, but I want people to feel like you're gonna get so many people. Man, we have 500 followers right now, 500 phone calls.
That's awesome.
When this drops, I want people to know that they can come to you, and I stamp of approval on Will Lawrence. Go to him for your needs.
Thank you very much.
You are safe. Let's talk about how you, going back to balance, kind of balance it all. So we've got the gaming, radio show host, financial advisor. You have worked on your health some too. I know you were working out for a while. Don't know if you're still working out or because you were working on some of the professional development stuff, if you set that aside for a little bit. But
I did.
Is balance possible? What does that look like in your life?
It absolutely is. And there's only so much time in the day. But again, if you're prioritizing what you really want, you will find a way. You can do it. You can find a way. But again, can you? I mean, sometimes there's a sacrifice there. Sometimes you're working around other people's schedule as well, family or significant others, or just maybe you're caring for someone else or whatever that is. Life is happening to us all, but sometimes it's just, well, maybe I can start getting up a little earlier than what I have been. It means I need to go to bed, but so you start having these conversations and you figure it out. So that's how I started to do that balance. And it's like, okay, I can't just completely say I'm going to hit the pause button on health, period, for a while, and then I'll eventually, right? Then I'm a victim of my own. You have to continue to some extent because you only get one. You are yourself. Your health is probably your biggest wealth, right?
Yeah,
as they say.
I was going to say, is it fair to say that we should never hit the pause button on the health? Maybe we could get to a place where we're happy and we're maintaining, and it's all a part of a routine for us. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. If I'm not going to be able to work out as much as I needed to because I have to do this for 6 months. Okay, that's okay. Still make an effort early in the morning, 10 minutes, something out of your day. But sometimes people just don't want to. You ever gotten home at like 4 or 5, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock at night, and you're like, I'm done. I don't really want to do anything else.
Yeah.
Those are the days, those are the choices in the day where you have to decide, okay, sometimes you're probably better off not doing anything. Sometimes you could have done something, and now the next day you're going, oh gosh, I guess I gotta.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I always front load, because I know I'm going to feel that way at the end of the day. So I was telling you before this episode, those that listened to Jessica Gordon's episode, I went to her gym this morning.
Excellent.
It was an amazing experience. I loved it, but that meant I had to get up at 4:30 this morning and get ready and come down the pike and get over there for a 7 o'clock workout. But it's kind of like I said on the way out with her. I check that box. I feel good.
Good.
I got my exercise in, right?
Yeah.
I feel like it gives me more energy for the day.
Yeah.
So you have to know yourself and your body and what kind of routines work best for you. I told Jay, he's a reader. I cannot read at night. I would fall asleep with a book on my face, right? So reading has to be in the morning. Everything for me to kind of fill my cup has to be in the morning because I have nothing left at the end of the day. But if you know that about yourself, make the change. Think about what you can control.
Yeah, absolutely. That's huge. That's great advice right there. I think, if you're trying to make the difference and you already know I'm going to make that decision or decide. I decide. That's another thing of what's it said? But I decided to. Then focus on that. Tomorrow morning when I get up, I'm going to decide to do this, or I'm going to choose to sit down and work on that, or whatever it is. I mean, you just have to get enough motivation. It can be tough. I think mental well-being has become more and more of an issue for a lot of people, and there's lots of resources out there to help with that. But it's all, the mental side of things, the physical side of things, and the financial side of things. I mean, sometimes they're all related. Sometimes one can cause the problem with the other, and so forth and so on. But I think I mentioned in some of the stuff I was filling out for the show, it's just like, a lot of the times people don't feel like there's someone they can go to and talk to. And it doesn't have to be a financial advisor, by the way.
Yeah.
Just somebody in your life that you can do that. But sometimes it takes courage to reach out and not feel embarrassed or whatever the case is. But I think that's a big problem for a lot of people.
Yeah, that vulnerability. I was thinking about that too, specifically. I keep going back to finances because it just makes sense for you. But I find that it's easiest to either go to someone who has the strength in the area of my weakness, right? Or find someone who's been through a common experience. And so I feel like, I'm not the only one going through this, right? And find that community of people, and you can support each other and hold each other accountable in next steps, right? So it could be either, but even if it's one person, we all need to have that one person.
Yeah. And then for business, it's the same thing. If you're, a business owner trying to figure out how to move things forward or whatever it is, it's just, you need help too.
And there are always free resources out there too. I leaned into the SBDC when I started my business. I had a lot of questions about business ownership, the logistics, the legality of it. I didn't know those things. I had never done it before. There are free resources and free coaching there. So it doesn't always have to cost money. But it does go back to what you said. There are people that care, money or not, that just want to be there to help others.
Yeah. And then, I would also mention dad jokes. That's got me very far. And so for networking, in the gaming side of things, incidentally, I ended up switching from the gaming industry back to finance. And I got pushed into the media side of things.
Okay.
From my PR firms with Nintendo and Sony, Microsoft, these types of places. And that's how I started in the radio show, by the way.
Oh, okay.
So I got into that. And that was a lot of fun, because what I found there was if you go to like a convention with, you know what you should do?
Tell me.
You should get a camera, one of the cameras, go to like a convention and walk around with a cameraman and just a microphone. You're like a god. They oh my God, they're over here. Talk to my person.
Oh, that
Dude,
is so funny.
The media coverage is because they want to get the word out on whatever it is that they're doing.
That's really smart, Will.
Oh, yeah. And so I met tons of celebrities through the gaming side of things, just cool. Attending the E3 and various things. But how did little old me get all of these appointments with celebrities and the top people in the gaming industry when I had nothing? And all these major media outlets? Why was I able to do that?
Tell us why.
Dad jokes.
Oh my gosh.
Swear to
Stop
God.
it. Do you have
I
a favorite dad joke?
No.
Do they just come to you?
Yeah, well, sort of. I mean, of course, I take the ones I like too. But I on like the bottom of my emails, I would include a dad joke. And then the guy is like, "Oh, that was pretty fun." And then the next one, I keep putting in dad joke. I got all kinds of appointments just through dad jokes. Yeah,
It made you unique.
it made me unique. People, I wasn't because you would imagine they're getting hit up by tons of no-name companies like mine.
Yeah.
And the big ones that were already established, they were already there, right? But there's thousands and thousands of people that want that same content for their channel.
Right.
And so, I went about it in a different way, formed those relationships. But I was motivated to do so. Mm-hmm. And when we went out there, we had the best time because I met actors, I met celebrities, I had all this stuff. It was like I got to do all these things. Through what? Through just emails and dad jokes. And
hey, it worked. I think it was probably through passion as well. People could see the passion.
Sure.
Right.
But I used that for network. The reason I brought that up was through networking. And I just wanted to say some people, if they're trying to grow their scene or whatever it is,
mm-hmm.
I mean, sometimes you can just...
They should sing the jokes?
You could, yeah. What scene? I said
scene. I thought you said singing. It's like they're trying to grow their singing?
No.
I'm like, why, Will? Why that example?
Scene. Sorry.
It's okay.
Slurring my words. But no, it's just... being able to relate to people and, find who can help them move forward. Sometimes it's about the people but you get to know people just by being real, being yourself. I told my kids to go to school. Like my daughter is going to 6th grade, so she was nervous. I said, be yourself, smile, be happy. And that was my advice.
I love that advice.
And that was it. Just because, brand new school, it's middle school, all this stuff. And just be yourself. And don't worry about what other kids are doing. Don't, they're going to do something wrong. Just smile, be happy, be yourself. Go about your day. How was your day? It was great. Awesome.
She listened to the be happy part.
She literally had a shirt that said happy on it, too. So that was good. Yeah.
That's so cute. I love that. Okay, well, I can't leave the dad joke part without a dad joke. Can you give us one? Pressure's on.
Oh, sure. Let's see. Where do you start? What kind of doctor was Dr. Pepper?
What?
He was a physician.
I like it because of fizz. That's good. That was a good one.
What does a mermaid wash her fins with?
What?
Tide.
That's cute. I love it. It worked. I would have called you back.
Oh, I can go on and on. Oh, man.
I can see how that got you in.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the guys that do the dad jokes out on the dock?
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Those guys are good, yeah.
What is the name of their...
I can't remember. But yeah, no, those are good. Yeah.
They're good.
There's a lot of them out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you tell dad jokes on your radio show?
No.
No?
I mean, I just do them. They just got, like you said, some of them just come to me and I just say them. And, it's more of a personality thing.
Okay.
I do impressions, too.
You do? Yeah, that's right. Why would you bring that up?
I don't know.
Do you really want to have to do some?
I can. No.
Okay, bring it on.
Actually,
you're so talented,
never
Will.
mind. I'll pass. So, but I do Beetlejuice. I was going to say that was pretty relevant because the movie's getting ready to come out.
Oh, yeah, do it. Month. Make it happen.
But the line that I say is probably not the best thing. Yeah.
We didn't approve this.
Hey. No, but I can, I do. That's fun. I don't know why I started doing that, actually, but I realized, it kind of sounds like that. And I kept going. I was like, so I started developing, my list of characters that I do. And so that's kind of become fun.
I think you sent the list in our
group
text.
I did. I was like,
here's the list of current impressions that I do.
This is just for those keeping track.
Okay, radio show. Where can people listen to you?
So we are on 100.9 The Line. I think it's on Bob Rock's website. We are the Press Start radio show. But yeah, we are very unassuming, casual conversation. Our average listener is like a 40 to 45-year-old female. Isn't that interesting? You would think it would be like 18-year-old boys or something like that, just being in the gaming industry.
Yeah.
But we cover a lot of things. And we purposely redid the show to be kind of like this, kind of like a casual conversation.
Yeah.
So if you jumped in and you didn't know a thing about what we were talking about, you're still listening for some reason because it's just interesting to listen to, I guess.
Yeah.
But we're not talking about like level 3 dungeon master tricks or anything like that. We don't cover any of that stuff.
Yeah, I would check out pretty quickly.
Yeah,
Not gonna lie.
not our. We do trivia. We do some fun things. We just talk about whatever's in the news. But been doing that for a long time. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. But again, that all stemmed from that being in the gaming industry for so long and those contacts there. So I just kept it up because it was fun.
And you said 9 years you've been doing that?
Yeah, and ironically enough, we're potentially the radio station that I work with helping me possibly move into syndication with that. And I'm like, wow, I never thought. It's not that complicated, but
speaking of celebrities, I have one in the house right now.
No,
Look at that.
But yeah, it's a lot. It's been fun. It's been fun. And I got to tell you one other story.
Yeah.
So we were at E3 one year, and
so what is E3? I don't even know what that is.
It used to be the biggest gaming convention out there.
Okay.
So this is where all the major people would announce their games.
Okay.
It would be like the movie industry saying, "Okay, here's what's coming out this summer. Mm-hmm. The next Deadpool movie or whatever it is, whatever it is." And so that's E3. It's like a big thing. So we had our shirts on and we were doing some interviews, and this kid goes up like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so glad I finally met you. I've listened to your stuff and all this stuff." And I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'm like, cool, man. I gave him a high five.
Yeah.
That was the weirdest thing, man.
Well, that did feel good though.
Yeah, that was different. I wasn't used to that. People usually aren't coming up to me going, "Oh my God, it's Will."
Yeah. Yeah.
But
that's cool. So with all of these different things going on, do you have any exciting projects coming up? Anything going on in life you're really excited about right now? Looking forward to? Yeah,
10-year anniversary for the brewery is exciting. Mm-hmm. Continue to do the radio show. Always working hard. I am continuing I get designations for my work, so furthering my education so I can further help people. And so looking forward to continue to do that and just, enjoying life, just out there, putting it out there.
Yeah. Well,
putting the vibe out.
You're always smiling.
Yeah.
Speaking of continuing education, I always ask folks what they're currently learning because, of course, I value lifelong learning. And we're always wanting to grow and branch out and try new things.
Yes, you are.
Right?
That makes sense.
Yeah. What are you learning right now? Is there anything you're exploring?
For me, it's a pretty big commitment on the financial side. So there's a designation called the CFP that I'm studying for, and it requires you to sacrifice your schedule a little bit. Mm-hmm. So it is a huge commitment. And
one that we give you a little bit of crap for because you choose that instead of us, right?
As you near, you want to make sure you understand it, but there's so much to unravel there. But that's been eye-opening because, as an advisor, some things that weren't on my radar now are. Mm-hmm. And so you do that through learning. I mean, and you quickly realize no one person can know it all. Mm-hmm. So there's that. I don't care how good the advisor is. There's too much out there. But again, some people specialize in certain areas, this type of thing. But furthering your education is a good thing, always. And so, I try to learn about, as much as I can. Again, what's going to motivate me to take action. And, I can get this piece of equipment and start working on this or doing that. Mm-hmm. I did find, this is going to sound totally out of left field, but I'm throwing it out there anyway.
I'm ready.
So I got a cat.
Why?
Not by choice.
Why would someone do that?
2 years ago. I don't know. It wasn't my choice. It showed up at the office, and
You have an office cat?
So here's what happened.
Okay.
My Meredith, God bless her, my branch office administrator, got to work one day, opened the door, and then the cat was behind a bench, jumped down, and ran into the office. She didn't even see it there. She didn't know it was there.
Oh.
And so I get there, and she's like, "Oh, we've got a guest." I was like, "We do?" She's like, "Yeah, put him in the conference room." I'm like,
Stop.
"Why the heck would you put him in the conference room? There's nothing in the conference room. There's like nothing there all right now." And I'm thinking, she's like, "Just go look." And so she had the door shut, of course, and I go in there, and there's the cat. And then, as she says, I made a very rookie move. "Hey, kids, guess what? There's a little kitty cat here."
Why would you do that?
I took it around, see if it was chipped and all this stuff, and it wasn't. Took it to, and then Meredith, she put out like a post saying, "Hey, we found a cat to the nearby neighborhood that was behind us."
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, it's a black cat. I'm so glad you found." "No, sorry, it's a white cat." "I'm so glad you found him." "No, sorry." Like all these people kept trying to get this cat,
Really?
and it wasn't even their cat. They were like trying to poach it or something. It was weird.
Man.
So anyway, long story short, I've got a cat, and that was about 2 years ago. So now I'm like, okay, I'm going to build a cat tree. Okay, so I'm going to show you the picture. I'm like, I don't know why I got this in my head. I'm like, I'm going to do this. I can do this. And I'm looking around at the stores, and they're like freaking expensive. You ever shopped for cat trees before? Probably not. They're expensive. And I'm like, okay, cat trees. And I started looking up images. And this thing, okay, I'll show you the picture later.
I cannot wait.
But it's a tree. Think of it, you found a tree in the forest that fell down.
Yeah.
And you put the tree in the corner of one of your rooms, and then you build little shelves and tie it with the string. And you literally build a cat tree out of a tree from the woods. It's cool looking.
Okay. I'm all about trees. You know, I like trees.
Yeah. Yes, you'll love this idea. If you were ever going to have a cat tree, you should have this type of cat tree.
Okay.
And I'm like, I can do that. So now that's a project I'm excited to do for some reason. I don't know why, but there you go.
I'm excited to see the final product.
It looked,
What's the timeline on this thing?
I don't know, but I will keep you posted and show you the pictures.
Please do.
Yeah, I was like, I can do that.
Okay, you are trying new things.
Yeah, why not?
Did you?
Why not?
Okay, I would love for you to leave us with 2 pieces of advice, and I say 2 for a very specific reason. Okay, so 1, I want to focus in on the financial side of things. Yeah. If there is someone that has been listening today who the message resonated with them, that they maybe aren't happy with where they are, they don't have a plan for the future, and they really need support with that, what advice would you give them in order to take the very first step? What is that first thing they need to do other than call you?
Being okay with calling, being okay with reaching out.
The mindset shift.
It's just there is hope. There are people that care. And, again, whether you're taking care of somebody, whether you're a lot of clients in retirements that are living in retirements. And again, goals, priorities change over the years. Is there a better way? Let's have a conversation. I always tell people, especially when you come into money, now what do I do? What's the best thing for me to do? Let's just take a second and have a conversation before you start slinging money around or doing all this stuff or making these decisions. Gather the information first, and then let's make sure you're doing the right thing. So when you do make a decision, you're feeling better about it. Okay, I am going to do this. You cared enough about whatever your life and whatever it is that you have going on to take the time to think about it and reach out. That is what I would do.
Okay. Yeah. I love that. That's great advice. And the second piece of advice I'd like for you to give relates to the empathy piece.
Sure.
Okay. You talked a little bit about kind of just making it who you are. How does one who has not been wired to be Will Lawrence become this person who sees the opportunities around them to drop the $20 bill for the guy to get into the circus, to be that person? Like, how do we take a step in the right direction?
It's as I say, it's a chosen lifestyle. the willingness to embrace it to a point without fault or without thought. I mean, you just have to be okay with getting yourself there, even if it doesn't put you as far ahead as you want. So you're still making sacrifices by choosing to be that way.
Yeah.
But weigh the pros. It's just like any other decision. Weigh the pros and cons, and is that who I am? Is that what I want? Is that who I want to be? So forth and so on. But when you get there, and you're okay with it, again, for me, it became less stressful.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking as much about all these things that could weigh on my conscience or weigh on these things, because I know I'm doing the right thing. At least I think I am, and I feel good about, the approach and, wanting to help people on just a deep level. In my head, I have fully embraced that that's the angle I'm coming at things from when I say and do what I'm doing.
Yeah.
As much as I can. I mean, obviously some people might interpret things certain ways, but I know that where I am, where my heart is, all that kind of stuff. So that is how I think, just choosing to embrace it on that deep level. And then when you're there and you know that you're there, that's a wonderful thing. That's a good feeling.
Yeah. It really does make a difference in how you feel. I had a client this week. He was so proud of himself. He let me know that there was someone that made him really angry in traffic. And normally
easy to do.
He would have handled it a very specific way, but he let them go in front of him and just accepted the fact that they must have been in a hurry and they had something important going on, and it was probably more important than what he had to do anyway. And he was like, it felt so good to not be angry at them.
Yeah.
That little decision, right? Yeah. It can be the smallest thing.
Yeah. That's tough to do sometimes.
It is.
Especially when the day starts off a certain way, things start to pile on, and all of a sudden you're remembering this conversation this Will Lawrence guy had. You're like, I can't. Now that pisses me off too. Sorry. That frustrates me to a point to where I can't do what he's saying there. You can. I mean, it sometimes it takes that extra conscious effort to in the moment, right? We're all faced with little decisions throughout the day.
Yeah.
And sometimes that can be tough to see through there, especially like my brother when he plays golf. He would love this, by the way. He gets very frustrated, right? When he, that can be a frustrating sport, but you can choose,
especially when you're not good,
to the point where he'll stop. He'll just
really
quit. We're on hole 14, and he's like, okay. So he would. I'll have to point this out to him, but he'll. That's where he's gotten to. He's gotten so mad and worked up that the best thing for him to do is just stop, to quit trying.
Wow.
That's where he gets to his. Now we all have things.
Yeah.
I'm not perfect over here, but I'm just saying that sometimes.
But we have to put it into perspective.
Sometimes the moment.
Yeah.
The moment when you chose to do this instead of that. Focus on those little times right there and see if you can start making the small choices.
Yeah. He's pointing at my Duncan, by the way, if you're watching his fingers.
And so it's just making those little things, and all of a sudden, you're right. It does start to add up. But I think, again, the big picture there on that, how do you really embrace? You have to really make a huge conscious effort and choose. I choose. Start off with that. I choose. Yeah, to do that.
Yeah.
So
I think that's awesome. So I always leave with a branching out challenge of the week based on the episode. So I think it sounds fitting to have that be the challenge, to really think about your choices and I choose to, and make that little shift, right? Can we challenge them to do that?
1,000%. Absolutely.
And I want to hear how it goes. I want people to actually let me know what they're choosing to do differently based on hearing that old Will Lawrence
there you go.
come in.
Oh, I'm excited to hear that as well. Feedback.
Yes, we love feedback around here. We don't get enough of it. I want more. That's how we grow. Okay, so is there anything else that you wanted to cover today that we did not get to talk about? Because I do feel like there was a vacation story.
Oh, yes. You heard. Okay. Can I tell that story?
You can.
All right. I'll just go through it real quick. I'll just give another quick shout out to Sierra. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. listen to the Jay Foreman and Seth Thatcher episodes. I'm sure the other ones are good too, but
6 and 7. 6 and 7. Yes. And we'll do shout outs at the end because I want you to be able to do some shameless plugs for all your goings on too. So, but tell us the story because you were going to tell me, just so you guys know, he was going to tell me prior to the episode and then he was like, oh, I should really share that. So I don't even know the story. So tell us about vacation.
Well, so it wasn't so much the vacation was actually good. It was just getting there. So long story short, I'm flying from Dulles to Jacksonville.
Okay.
So that's a 2-hour flight?
Okay. You tell me.
So it's a 2-hour flight.
Okay.
And so we're in Dulles, and I'm checking my bags, and the United person, I'm going to throw United under the bus here, but they were wrapping the my bag, and I was like, cool. Lady looked at my boarding pass, and she goes, oh, your gate is C20. I said, okay, great. So I go to C20. No, my seat was C20.
Oh, no.
And so there just happened to be a gate C20 that was also going to Jacksonville.
Stop. What are the chances?
What are the odds, right?
Yes.
And so all of a sudden I hear, Lawrence, blah, 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 your gate's boarding at so-and-so. This is a 20-minute walk on the other side of the airport. They were already closing the doors. And so we get up there. We can put you on standby. I'm like, okay. I mean, I've got kids. I got young kids. And so I say, okay, I'm walking away. And I remember the guy's name, Lipton.
Okay. Like the tea?
Lipton, like the tea.
Okay.
And he goes, because he was fascinated with anyway, so I'm walking away, and I've wrapped the corner, and he goes, Mr. Lawrence, come back. I've got an option for you. I said, okay. Well, you could get on a flight to Philly and then jump on American Airlines, and that'll get you down there today. That way the standby is not guaranteed. I said, okay. So I thought about it. Okay, so I went back up to the United desk. I wanted to do this American Airlines Philly, change. What are you talking about?
What?
What are you talking about? We would never offer that to you. I was like,
Lipton did?
Lipton? I didn't come up with this. This is my idea. And he goes, we would never do that. I was like, well, let me talk to a supervisor. And this guy was even more rude.
Oh, no.
And I don't know if you could tell this by just listening to me. It takes a lot to get me but I'm close now. I'm kind of upset here. And so, and he goes, well, we got something going out of Reagan. I was like, I got dropped off here this morning. I had a friend. I don't have a car. Why don't you get an Uber?
Oh, no. This is not going well.
No, we can shuttle you over there, Mr. Light. Go.
Did you blow a fuse?
You know what? I got to the point. I was like, all right, fine. I was like, I'm gonna get an Uber. So I got an Uber, went to Reagan. The gates bounced around, changed that, got on a flight to Newark. So now I'm in New Jersey. Okay, and the gates bounced around, and now we got to go to Jacksonville. So we're on the plane in Newark. We're halfway down the runway. Pilot slams on the brakes. I mean, I don't know if you've ever been on a plane when the pilot slams on the brakes.
No, that's not a thing.
So I'm like, holy cow. And then, sorry, folks, nothing to worry about. Just one of the sensors said the door flew open. At this point, I'm like, you
can't make this up.
And we got to sit here for 45 minutes and per compliance and blah, blah, blah. And so now we're sitting there, and 18 hours later, we showed up in Georgia. I kind of drove there faster. So that was crazy. Coming back, so then the vacation was good. Coming back, I don't know if you heard, but this Hurricane Debbie thing came through.
Yeah, I heard about that.
So my dad lives in Clearwater. I went down to visit him. My sister lives in Largo. So now we're down there. And Debbie's coming through. I'm like, we got to leave early to get out in front of this thing, to get back to Jacksonville, which is where I'm flying back out of. To get out of her neighborhood, the water is already, I had a little Altima,
yeah.
And the water was up to the window almost, just to get out of the neighborhood. And so I'm like, we're going to stall out. In fact, there was like several other cars already stalled out in the neighborhood, except for this one little dude in a smart car came by. He's like, ee! And he's like double waving. He's like, hello, I'm making it. Who is this guy? And so he gets through somehow, but we got through eventually.
That doesn't make sense to me. Can we pause for a second? Because doesn't that run on electric?
I don't know. He's going like this. I don't know. You're stuck, but here I am.
Okay, continue.
His car said, and he's like, But we made it through. It was like the little Ultima that could for us. So we got through, and then we got to the Tampa Bridge to get out. And the Tampa Bridge sits really low already. And it's nighttime. And I look out, and there is the ocean. I mean, it's there. Like it's the water has brought. So now the waves are hitting the bridge and throwing water like the car is moving. The water from the waves of the ocean.
That's terrifying.
It was like a war zone. Kids are loving it. They're like,
I'm glad they weren't scared.
Oh my gosh, they're
it's
like
an
celebrating.
amusement park ride.
Yeah, I'm white knuckling. He's like, no, this isn't fun. But it was. I'm surprised they let us across the thing actually. But we got through, and then so we're headed towards Orlando, back up the coast to Jacksonville. Well, guess what happens overnight? Debbie keeps going, and now it gets to Jacksonville, and now there's like water up to my calves again. I got to take my shoes just to get across the parking lot to get back to the car again to get to the airport. They did let us fly out because I guess we were flying out of it or away from it. And then a couple days later, guess what happens up here? Comes up here. So now I'm back to school shopping. I'm back to school shopping. Get out of the store, freaking water. I was like, why does this keep happening to me? Water's falling everywhere.
Oh my!
But we got like a summer's worth of rain in a couple of days from Debbie there. But anyway,
I was actually supposed to be with Mom in Sarasota when it came through. We had changed our plans and we went to Deep Creek Lake instead. And her childhood best friend lives in Sarasota. Siesta Key actually, and she sent us a picture of water like up to here, and we're like, oh yeah, we made the right decision to not go there. Goodness, I'm so glad you're okay. What an adventure.
It was quite the experience.
Oh man, thanks for sharing that with us.
Yeah, now you can feel better about your travels, hopefully.
And don't use United. I like the Lipton guy though.
He was a nice guy.
Let's give him a shout out.
Yeah, nice guy. I mean, he tried. But
I always fly United, by the way.
And I'm waiting to hear back.
Okay.
So I did, and even the lady at United, usually they're kind of fighting you on refunds and this. She's like, literally said that. Like I'm like, she was sympathetic.
Okay.
So I don't know if I'm allowed to say that.
Yeah, well, you obviously didn't read the contract. No, I'm
Sorry.
just kidding.
But she literally
I'm totally
said that.
kidding. Kid friendly.
Oh, okay.
They're growing too.
She was like amazed. Sympathetic, I guess.
Okay, this is your opportunity for all of the shameless plugs. So we've got Johnson City Brewing Company.
Sure.
Where can they visit you? On the web at
johnsoncitybrewing.com.
Okay, easy enough.
Yeah,
easy enough.
You can find JCBC. You'll see our logo with a little lamp lighter society down there. A lot of history in Johnson City there, Al Capone and everything.
I can't say I've been there before, so I'll have to plan something.
Oh man,
I think it should be a time where you are going because I would want the tour.
A lot of like tours, ghost tours, a lot of stuff underground there. It's in a lot of ways it reminds me of Winchester, but a lot of history there. A lot of interesting stuff to see.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Other shameless plugs. What do you got?
Shameless plugs. Radio show, Press Start Radio Show, the brewery. Let's see, what else? I don't know. Just call me if you need a vent, talk. If you want to hear some of the impressions, you want to talk about your three things. There's lots of ammunition there.
Lots of great things to talk about.
All right, and just be happy. Just take that. Just go be happy, be yourself, and try to enjoy life, and make a difference.
That's what it's all about, making a difference while we're here, right?
And thank you again for having me. I really appreciate taking the time and having me on.
Well, that's right back at you. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule to be here.
It's a lot of fun.
It's a big deal. I always say you make time for what's important to you, and it was important enough for you to make time to do this. So thank you.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. Okay, folks. So we've reached the end of episode 13. It's been a fun one with Will. If you guys haven't already subscribed, I would love for you to join us on whatever platform works for you. So YouTube, you can actually watch the video content. It was funny. My dad said this morning, by the way, my dad was like, wait, why are you doing your hair? Why are you in that dress? He said, I didn't know that there was video. I've just been listening to it.
There you go.
So yes, you are on video. So on Spotify, It drops every Friday at noon Eastern Standard Time, YouTube as well, and then all other platforms on Saturday. So be sure to subscribe so you get notifications. And until next time, keep branching out.